you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984.
Hello guys, I'm going to be using 3 emulators again today: Pair PC, VMware, and Parallels. Okay, so if you notice these 10 versions of OS X running, they have different logos depending on the version. 10.1 and 2 have the old Aqua logo, and then starting 10.3 they went with a gray Apple logo through 10.9 Mavericks, and then Yosemite, they changed their logo scheme around that time. The names of these are Puma, Jaguar, Panther, Tiger, Leopard, Snow Leopard, Lion, Mountain Lion, Mavericks, the worst OS ever, and Yosemite. So here in 10.1 I'm just showing what the different features were at the time. System preferences, when you open it, it actually said system prefs. That's the only OS I know of that said that in the menu bar. Classic does not work in emulation. We've tried System 10.1, 2, and 3, tried various different system folder configurations, and it will not boot to an emulator. You probably remember some of these screensavers back in the day. So yeah, I'm just going through the different things here. General controls, quite a bit different than System 9. This was the Aqua interface, so the Apple's Aqua, and a lot of the, the buttons are Aqua. They kept Aqua through, I think, Mavericks, where they got rid of the Aqua buttons. I have some applications installed here. AppleWorks 6. I used to run ClarisWorks 2.5, 3, 4, and then when OS X came out, it was AppleWorks 6. They renamed the program. That's because Apple bought ClarisWorks, and they renamed it AppleWorks. Microsoft Word, you'll notice, is version X. So they had a version X, the very first version for OS X. I was trying to work on this document. It's kind of weird when I tried to close it. It had some error messages that it shouldn't have had. Very glitchy. You'll notice the host arrow is in the middle of the screen, and I can't get rid of that. It's when I started emulating, the arrow that it caught worked fine, but then the host arrow is just stuck there. I don't know why. The other versions don't do it, only 10.1. Yeah, it's kind of glitchy. Mouse jumping all over the place. So when I try to save this, it's like try to save as a .dot file. I don't even know what that is. I had actually had a memory of that happening in the past too. So you'll notice on the 10.1 there's no menu bar on the left of that window there. There's no documents, the documents are in the users folder, but the menu bar doesn't exist in 10.1. I think 10.2 had it, or 3. So also, I was showing the clock there. The only version of OS X that came with a round analog style clock. So 10.2, the dock is more clear, more transparent. Darwin kernel version 6. The emulator is shown at the Mac G4, 128 megs of RAM. I have 32 gigs in the computer. Photoshop 7, probably my favorite Photoshop back in the day. In fact, I use 7 more than any other version. Really like that splash screen, it's beautiful. So I hadn't opened it yet, so it's going to ask for all these things. It's also looking for display configurations, and it doesn't recognize the display. The Photoshop 7 worked really well, and I think it was one of the first versions that really had good, layer effects like drop shadow and emboss and all that. It really had a lot of good stuff in it. I kind of miss that interface. Look how simple that is. The Photoshop version I run now it's just ridiculous, all the stuff that it has. But sometimes you'll use those things. There goes my other emulators, are both falling asleep. AppleWorks 6. But basically, working in both versions, 10.1 and 2. Mostly opening it just to put a little message on here. Yep, love that Photoshop 7 splash screen. System 10.2, didn't have a lot of apps for it back in the day. I think as time went on, I got more apps for OSX. I think around Snow Leopard is where I had just a lot of apps for that would run on it. And as you know, each version of OS, the requirements change. Some work on some versions, some don't. So here in 10.3, it's showing I have a 1.6 gig processor. I have two 2.8. This shows I'm running a Power Mac G3. It's weird when you install on Pair PC, it doesn't ask. It just installs. So I guess it's just sensing what processor is needed more than anything. So here's a bunch of old programs. You guys probably remember Stickies. Stickies was pretty cool. Used to actually use it quite a bit. Stickies and Quicktime. This one I have a newer version of Photoshop. I don't think I open it in this demo, but look at that brushed aluminum interface. This is the first brushed aluminum menu scheme. I really like it. They had at one point themes for OS X, and I recently looked it up, but I couldn't find any for the newer versions. They only had it for older versions of OS X, where you could change the theme. It's not a big thing in Apple. I know with Windows, it's very common to change skins and themes. I always like the look of the Aqua interface. Yep, the old QuickTime player. I totally remember that. Used to use it a lot. Couldn't run any of the files we have now in there. Everything we're running nowadays is way too big for that. So that's 10.3. 10.4 Tiger is one of my favorite OSs. I have a few favorites. 10.4.5 was pretty good, and Snow Leopard was one of my favorites. 10.6. This one says System Preferences on the top. Very similar to the other two. I have the display settings set for very small sizes right now, so I can fit them all in this window. So I can actually browse internet. Internet didn't work on 10.1. I don't know if it did in 10.2, but it does in 10.3 and 10.4. The Tiger, that's Firefox 2. It's funny, it's an ancient version now. I think they're up to like Firefox 80 or something nowadays. Here's Word 2001, I think is what it is. Looks like that based on the logo. Used to use this quite a bit. I think as time went on, AppleWorks stopped working, so I'm trying to remember what version that was. It might have been like Mountain Lion or something. And so you're pretty much at that point forced to use Word. I wish Apple just continued developing AppleWorks. It's a great program. Always liked that. Always like that 3D word splash screen. Yeah. Very 3D. I have a couple of my servers documents from my host computer on the desktop here. It's how you get files in. Networking. pCalc, that was a program that I found somewhere. I don't know why it came with one of the. I think it came with OS 10.4 or 3. Used it quite a bit. Really cool calculator. 2.75 gigahertz. 0.79 gigahertz. It says it's a JMac. It's it doesn't say if it's a 1.1 or Look at all those CPU features. It's interesting that it shows all that. Yeah, I'll just show you here. I can easily network to my host computer. That's my documents folder. I have Keynote installed. I think Pages 1. Okay, so there's Tiger. Now we're going on to Leopard. This version of Leopard I have, the emulator I have through VMware, for whatever reason, crashes. See, it says don't restart or shut down. I can only suspend. These later versions of OS, you could easily drag the window and it'll refresh and you won't lose quality. So here I'm running Mini Mac within Leopard. So I'm actually running System 755 within the emulator. Mini Mac within VMware. At one point I had an idea of running 10 emulators within each other, but it's pretty crazy even thinking how you would even do that, because of versions are the main problem. I have a little Apple IIe emulator within the Mini Mac. Crazy. So right now I'm running an Apple IIe emulator within the Mini Mac emulator within the VMware emulator. It's 3 emulators running. I guess if I really try, I could probably run at least 5. That was fun. So this one, showing I have 1 gig of RAM. I guess it shows a VMware as the computer name. I guess the amount of RAM has a lot. Look at those RAM slots. My goodness. What kind of computer was it set up for? Weird. I think that's like an error or something. That's a bug or something right there. But within the emulator, they usually install, I think like when I installed this, it was like the minimum amount that OS 10.5 needed. I wonder what version of iTunes this is. Yeah, look at that. Look at that interface. Look at that. It had a Genius sidebar. That's funny. I should have shown what version it was. It wouldn't quit. See that? Fine. Now it just wouldn't quit. Look at that old metal trash can. Miss that. I like eye candy. I like the 3D look. And that dock is just, that's the best dock Apple ever came out with, was the Leopard dock. That's why I'm zooming in on it. Look at those shadows. It's so cool. It's the coolest dock. Even some of the apps they have, the dock apps, add-ons, you know, after this time, just don't come close to that particular style. Really, really beautiful. And what else was I looking at? Oh, yeah, I was looking for the flurry. I used to have that flurry as my screensaver. It actually works in the VM. Some of them didn't work. That Cosmos didn't work. That came with the OS. So the Leopard version came with some really nice background pictures Apple supplied. I think the nicest up to that point. That's pretty familiar looking login. Pretty familiar looking user window there. Okay, moving on to Snow Leopard 10.6. So this one showing 4 gigs of RAM. It went from 1 to 4. I have 32 actually. There's all my other ones falling asleep again. A bunch of apps in Snow Leopard. Like I said earlier, Snow Leopard was a time when I was into games and playing them quite a bit. So I actually have this all set up for Sega Genesis emulator. So I have the emulator within the Snow Leopard. And they all work, all those work. I put everything that worked in that folder. So one of the ones I used to play before I had Mac computer was, it said my card didn't support it, but then it actually worked, was Sonic the Hedgehog. And it works. I don't know if you can make the window bigger. I think I tried and just, yeah, I think it pixelates. Yeah, it works. Echo the Dolphin, I used to have that on Sega CD. I had the CD machine and played this on the CD. I think the game I played the most was Sonic. I played this too, but it was really hard to maneuver the dolphin around in that. Okay, moving right along. A lot of these apps work. Again, I only put them in if they work. If they don't, I just throw them away because what's the point? Taking up disk space. I have Photoshop CS2 in here. Look at all those games. A lot of games. Some of the ones I wanted to work didn't work, like Nanosaur. I used to run Nanosaurs. I really like that game. Nanosaur 2 works, but not Nanosaur 1. Cro-Mag Rally actually works. Bubble Trouble, that was something we played a lot too. All those games work in the emulator. And what's funny is none of those games work on the 1010 that I run now. I run Yosemite, and none of them work. They're PowerPC apps. So actually, when I want to play a game nowadays, I open the Snow Leopard emulator and then play them within that. Okay, moving along to Lion. Lion, I think I ran this operating system more than any other operating system. I ran it for years. I ran Lion until I had to upgrade. Also a beautiful dock. Didn't quite have the shine. She's showing the right computer. That's what I have, a MacPro 2008. I know that's old, but I have an old version because it's very backwards compatible. I can do a lot of things on this computer. I can actually run Snow Leopard. It was the one model, the Intel model, that allowed you to, really use a lot of startup disks. Okay, so Mountain Lion, I didn't have this OS very long. Look at the dock got, more opaque. It's just, I don't know. I never liked this OS. It's kind of blah. Still had the Aqua buttons and all that, but yeah, I could access App Store. Yeah, remember those tabs, those rounded tabs? Yeah, internet totally works. We're in Parallels now. Parallels, the best. Well, the best in some ways. I would just put it that way. Not overall the best. I think VMware is overall the best as far as getting things to work and ease of use. But Parallels, you can install the Parallel tools and it does give you more features. Yeah, Mountain Lion's kind of a meh version. And then moving on to the worst Mac OS version ever made by Apple. Why? Because it didn't work. I mean, it's so glitchy. When I installed it, I was like, what is this? My computer would, the screen would freeze. The mouse would freeze. That never happens in OS X. And most apps had a problem or something was wrong in most of the apps I ran. Restarting was an issue. When I restarted, the screen was black for... I remember having to deal with this OS. Restart and the screen was black for 2 minutes, and then it finally came on, and then it decided to come on. I could not wait for Yosemite to come out. When I heard about it, I was like, yeah, get rid of this thing. I think I had it 2 months. I ran Mavericks. I was just showing there that there's a notification center. I think Mavericks is the version that came out with that. Still showing the right information. The memory's wrong. Oh, it actually showed 32. No, it's 32 meg display. It's 32 gigs of RAM. So this version, some good software, really good software started coming around. I'd say around the time Lion came out. Lion, Mountain Lion, Mavericks, GarageBand, great program. That's what got me into Logic Pro. I'm a very avid Logic Pro user. And I started with GarageBand. I actually had a version of Logic Pro before GarageBand, but it wasn't called Logic then. It was an older version. I don't even know where I got it, but I think it was version 6. And then I had Logic 7, 8, 9, and then various forms of 10. So here, oh yeah, the photo booth. Of course, you have to have a camera, and I don't. So, but what I liked was how the program just. I liked how the program just kind of took over the whole computer. Reminded me of a game in some ways. And when you had a camera, you could just record yourself and then save the file, just like a video recorder app. See that glitchiness in the dock? That was the kind of stuff, screen redraw errors, the kind of stuff you'd see in Mavericks all the time. Like you'd open Photoshop and you'd be working on a file, and then it would just like, these lines would come up like, what is this? And it did not work well. I think Apple knew it was really not a successful OS. People loathed it. So here's what I run nowadays is Yosemite. Of course, I'm virtualizing it just to show, but in the background, actually Yosemite, that background picture, the blue background around that VM window, is Yosemite running. So I'm running Yosemite on Yosemite. Yep, you can do it. There it is. So this is where they, destroyed the dock, destroyed the app look. I do like that transparent menu right there. It's pretty cool. But I have an app called CDock that I use so that my dock looks right, because I can't run a computer with a dock that looks like that. Keep looking at the displays because I'm hoping there's one that's larger, that when you click that, it'll just expand the larger display without having to drag. Because when I drag that, it pixelates the quality. Same specs on the processor and all that. So I think this is also where they kind of started changing the Apple disk utility. I miss the old disk utility. And let's see, preferences. Not a lot more in here than 10.9. See, there's not even a translucent feature there, is there? Nope. You just gotta live with that dock. So that's it for running 10 Mac OS X versions at one time.